JND Arwen. JND has been very interesting lately, especially with this announcement, because this has been probably the most controversial of JND's statues thus far. I don't know if that's too bold of a statement to say, but the reason for that and the way I want to introduce this topic is because they obviously acquired the Lord of the Rings license, and their first choice was to go with Arwen. I know they had said that Kojin or someone in JND's upper echelon of leadership said that they really like Arwen and they really have a connection to the character, so it's a passion project of sorts. That said, the head sculpt has been a little controversial. It's a $2,099 statue with shipping. It's around 2,400. Spec Fiction has it for 2,550 shipped. So it's a very interesting piece, but yet controversial at the same time. That said, Josh, I actually want to start with you on this one first, just because I know with statues, like all of us have collected statues. We've done hot toys. We've done a little bit of both. But this JND Arwen, Josh, is this something you would be interested in? I mean, it also begs the question, I feel like, about less popular characters, because a lot of times I think a lot of us collectors say, oh, we want X character, we want Y character. But then sometimes when we get that, we're like, oh, but we wanted Legolas. We wanted Aragorn. You know what I mean? So what do you think about this?
For me, it's not something I'd pick up because personally, I have to, because I don't make a lot, so like I can only pick a certain IPs to go to. So I stick with mainly Marvel and video game pieces. So Lord of the Rings, as much as I love those movies, it's not something I really collect. But I think it is very weird to start with a character like this and not a more popular one like Gandalf that can actually like kick things off pretty well. I think it was really strange to start with a lesser known, like not lesser known, but I guess y'all's tier list. I guess like a B list character type thing. Be weird to start with something like that.
Like D.
And the D, yeah. And I
Yeah,
saw
right.
somebody do an edit where they did was like thin the cheeks, or whatever, make them sink in a little more, and it looked a lot better. But just like this and the Superman, I don't know. Like they started off really strong with that golden armor Wonder Woman that looked spot on, and it just seems like as JND goes on, like their face sculpts are just getting less and less. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. They're not looking as good as that
JNDs?
Wonder Woman did. Yeah.
Yeah, they suck.
So I'm not
Well, it's
like
interesting, Josh, because I feel like the silicone, you raised a really good point. The silicone almost looks droopy to me. Do you feel that? Like, I don't know.
yeah, like there's just something really off with it. Same with that because I was actually about to break my rule because I'm a big Henry Cavill fan. And I was considering getting their Superman, but
Mm.
Same.
once I saw the head sculpt, I'm like, no, like there's just
Exactly.
something weird with it. Like and then the suit looked really cool, but his suit was not that. I guess I don't know if detail is the right word. His suit was a little something just looked weird, so I ended
Mm.
up passing on that one. And then I think the Queen one looks a lot better, but I don't know. I think it's very weird to start a line with this kind of a character, but hey, it's
Yeah,
JND.
I
We all
agree
know
with you.
it'll sell. I mean, Mirror sell. That sold out. People still want that, so this will sell.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. Well, Carlos, what do you think, dude? Because I mean, it's not like a terrible piece. I don't want to give the impression that it is. It's still a really high end statue, but it's just, as
Yeah, it's
cool as
nice. But
as cool as Arwen is. Yeah, Josh, as cool as Arwen is, like, I get other companies have made Legolas and Aragorn and
Yeah.
Gandalf and stuff, but it's just like if you're gonna make a third scale statue, no one's really made those characters in third scale licensed.
Well, let's just call it what it is. J&D is using silicone to sell sex to their collectors, and that's exactly
You
what it
think so,
is.
bro? You think it's really that?
100%. Because I don't
Hmm.
think
Well,
if you were to ever ask anyone, hey, tell me what are your top 5 Lord of the Ring characters? No one's saying Arwen. 100% Arwen. She is in the top 5 characters. No
I
one's
guess so.
saying
I
that.
guess Kojin feels that way, but I don't know. I
No,
mean,
Kojin looks like, oh, Mira sold. Let's make another. Why not make Aquaman, right? Out of
right.
like the Aquaman movie. Why make Mira? Because sex sells. So that's exactly what's going on here, bro. That's all I see it. It's just
Mm.
what it is. It's it is what it is. Uh because dude, you can literally go on ahead and say, hey, I'm gonna go and like, start with Gandalf or Legolas, Aragorn, Gimli, fucking
Sauron.
Sauron, yeah,
Yeah.
Wraith,
Yeah, Ring Wraith. Yeah.
Ring Wraith,
Mhm.
anyone, but you start with Arwen. I'm pretty sure if we go back to the InArt poll, no one said make an Arwen, please, right? I don't think she was even top on the list. So that's what it is. And besides J&D lately, I picked up their Joker, their Heath Ledger. I picked up their Dark Knight. So don't think I don't have a J&D. I definitely do. But after that, it's definitely gone downhill. That Catwoman, Queen is better. You know what I mean? Then you look at literally almost every piece, Queen is better. So I don't understand why they're doing this. Even their Wonder Woman, bro. Even that second version of it, that $3,000, it's like a 7, and this is like a 5 or a 6. It doesn't even look like her. This looks like an oversized hot toy version that was done like 5 years ago. Like, it doesn't look very good, man. In my opinion, I don't think it does. I think it's falls flat from what JND is, and honestly, so much so that I'm, pretty close to say that if JND keeps doing this subpar work, I don't think I'm going to be collecting JNDs to begin with, because like I don't think they do a good job. Even their black suit Superman, like, dude, that's one piece, and everyone, I guess, that knows me would have known that I really wanted, you know what I mean, that black suit Superman, and it just fell flat. And this one is even worse. Like, I don't even understand why you would even start with something like this. It is what it is at this point. I guess people are going to buy it. That's cool, but I mean, let's just be honest and know why the reason why it's selling, or why the reason people would even get it. Because I don't think anyone's saying Arwen is their favorite character, or favorite character enough to drop $2,600 on.
Yeah.
So,
That, and if somebody who doesn't know Lord of the Rings, if they walk into your room, are they going to know who this is, or are they just going to think you
No.
have a sculpture of the actress, basically?
Right.
Right.
And,
Yeah,
it just looks a little weird.
Well, maybe I would say, guys, maybe that the person who would probably view this as their favorite Lord of the Rings character probably wouldn't buy a collectible like this anyway. So I feel like this is, like I know Nick said my girlfriend would say Arwen, and I think that's a good point. But she probably wouldn't buy this statue. I'm not trying to stereotype necessarily, but I'm just looking at what our demographic is, So nonetheless, I mean, I don't think it's a terrible piece, but you guys raised some very valid points. Leia, what do you think about this? Because this is an interesting selection by JND. No,
I'm going to be I guess I'm just on the opposite. That is,
Yeah.
from everybody else, because I think it's a beautiful piece. In my opinion. Again, when we talk about releases, we talk about companies that will do something totally different from another, and I applaud them for not doing a Legolas, or not doing an Aragorn, or not doing a Gandalf. I'm for them doing this, I don't think it's that bad of a piece at all, bro. Like, and to be quite honest, if, say, for instance, if InArt decided to do this in 1/6 scale, I would probably get this with Aragorn, because I would want to, basically pair those together, to recreate that beautiful bridge scene with the waterfall in the back. I would love to do something like that. So I don't really, for me, I don't see it as bad. I'm not going to pick this up, because again, I don't buy JND. It's just too expensive for me. It's not something within my wheelhouse. But I'm not going to say it's a terrible piece by far. I think it's a beautiful looking piece, whether it looks like her or looks like someone different. I think it's beautiful. I think it's sculpted decent. I think the material and the tailoring is decent. I like that they added the grass to the base. I think in some aspects, when you see it from a certain angle, it does look like her. You know what I mean? Because we could say the same for a lot of 1/6 scale figures, that from certain angles, when the eyes with the purse technology is different. But I don't think it's bad at all. And obviously it's for a lot of people, because it's already sold out. You know what I mean? So there were some people out there who loved it, and they wanted to see something different. And I think that's what makes this kind of decent. I don't, again, I mean, it's to each their own, but I think it is, it's when I saw it, because I even talked about it earlier. It was on my thumbnail for the show this morning, or this afternoon. I thought it was a beautiful looking thing, man. Like, it's this piece, it looks good. And, it may not, I'm glad that they're making things that aren't, completely on the radar for a lot of us. And it would be the typical thing that you would want to see from this line. They're going out and they're doing something different. You know what I mean? Have they been hit and miss in the past? Yeah. But at the same time, I think that's it might be our perception of it. But for the people who are buying this piece and it's selling out, and they're in pieces that they have and they are selling out, I can't speak for them. But for me, I think it's a beautiful piece, man. I really, really do think it's beautiful. And again, if they did this in 1/6 scale form, I'd probably get it, because it's different. Nice. And I think it is a gorgeous piece. and I would probably try to, then it would be a reason for me to get that Aragorn, because I think that would be a beautiful. I'm all about art, and I'm all about displaying art and having something that looks not just, it just tells a story. And I think the story between both of them was so beautiful in that movie, bro. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, dude, and nothing wrong with that at all, bro. I always love your honest takes. It's great, dude. Because I'm with you, Leo. JND is, if it were the right character, like say maybe they did Loki or something, or Kylo Ren, which would probably never happen for either. But if they did something like that, or maybe an Arnold Schwarzenegger, maybe they did a Terminator 2 Arnold, I would definitely take a very serious look at it. But as far as like, some of these other characters, probably not as much. It's just a tough one, bro. Yeah, because look, I'm happy for the people. J&Ds, they seem to sell out pretty quickly regardless of who the statue is. I think there's a lot of hype for J&D pieces, and also from what retailers have mentioned, they've said that basically J&D kind of manipulates that a little bit, because basically what they do is they sell a lot of the stock to the retailers. And they're like, oh, we sold out, so that's kind of what happens. But and also, with this piece, it does look decent enough. I don't think it's terrible, but just the point that I've always made consistently, Leo, is the higher you go in price, the higher the criticism. So the higher you go in price, the higher the bar goes. So I feel like I'm going to judge this more harshly than I am going to judge a hot toy. And I know Carlos and I have talked about this, and other people maybe disagree, because it's just like, well, this is by far the best Arwen that exists in 1/3 scale. So, I mean, by that standard, it's worth it to some. So it's just, I guess, I collect statues, but a predominantly 1/6 collector. To me, it wouldn't be worth it. But to those who maybe love Arwen, or those who really want a 1/3 scale Arwen, then by all means.
I think like Liv Tyler, bro, is a beautiful woman. She is like, she's always had those beautiful features, and a great personality. I met her at Supernova in Sydney,
nice.
Australia, and she's such a really gentle and nice person all the way around. So when you see stuff like that, especially if you get a chance to meet a person, or if you think that, on film, it looked pretty good. Again, the thing is, it's like, I go into it and pretty much with everything, not really looking for 100% accuracy. Now, it's a high-end piece, granted, and you get what you pay for. If you want this piece, and of course, a lot of people, but I think it's close enough. I'm not going to buy it. You know what I mean? But obviously it spoke to some people because they bought it. You know what I mean? Or, it's out there, and, and it could be because it's very limited, who knows,
Right. Yeah.
That can also play into it. But I mean, for what it is, I don't think it's a terrible piece at all. It may not be 100% like her, but I don't think it's a terrible piece.
Yeah, and Carlos, before you jump in, I was just going to say that I guess to me, and to everyone's going to be different, because it's very much a subjective opinion. It's subjective, and I just don't think there's very much exciting about this. So when you look in your collection room, you're like, oh, there's an Arwen. It's just not, that's just me though. Some people might feel that way about Kylo Ren or Rey. So, that's just my take on it. But it just seems like an odd choice for something this expensive. But Carlos, what were you going to say?
No, I mean, it definitely is, because then you can look at it and say, okay, well, see, J&D did start that way, right? Because then they did
Joaquin first.
They did
Arthur
Joaquin.
Fleck.
They were like,
Arthur
oh,
Fleck,
why
yeah.
would they do Joaquin and not the Joker? Oh, it's different. I was like, yeah, they're doing different characters. And then that Joaquin Joker just sat forever, right? And then they did Dark Knight, they did Joker. And then again, when you start, it's pretty clear why they're making this piece. Is the same reason why they made a mirror. It's the same reason why they made a Harley Quinn. I mean, it's just pretty obvious why they're doing it. I mean, because if you really wanted to talk about pairs, then, well, why didn't they make a Aquaman to go with Mira? Well, they didn't, right? And who knows what we're going to get from this one, but it's kind of the same thing where it's just like,
Right.
I think that it's just clearly telling us that they know exactly what they're doing and who their clientele is. And the fact that you can sell a woman and then use silicone, it's for a specific type of collector. And I think that's exactly why they started with this. It's like saying if NR wanted to be different, they wouldn't have started with Arwen, right? They would just start with like Gimli or something. You know what I mean? You don't start with Arwen. So I think that just tells us it's pretty clear what they're trying to do.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see both sides of it. So, but, it's an interesting choice. That's all I'll say. But guys, let us know in the chat. I keep forgetting to put the polls up, but I'm going to put the polls up. I promise. Let us know whether you're considering this Arwen statue from JND. I know Spec still has it, and some other places you can get it. So yeah,